Hello everyone, Darko2012 here with Global Government News, and I'm covering an article titled Iran Hails Nuclear Advance on Revolution Day. And this is coming from Reuters, and it was carried by the Yahoo News. And yeah, so, if you look at this title right off the bat, one would think, ooh, Iran hails nuclear advance on Regulation Day. You would think, ooh, they're boasting about their nuclear capabilities or their ability to create a nuclear bomb, which is far from the truth, because when you read in the article and other articles I'm going to be posting here after this one, it states that they are not, their intentions aren't even to hit 100%, which is needed. They're actually at, I believe, 20%, which is needed for using it as an energy source, which is what they've been saying for the past 4+ years now. And so, yeah, for people who don't stay up to par on all the different information that's out there as far as their capability, they would think, oh, nuclear advance, bombs. But let's read into this a little bit further, because it's important, right? There's every once in a while, either the neocons or the global fascists, they want to start trying to build up not so much hostility, but they constantly are trying to build up a case to go into Iran, whether it's having sanctions on them or saying that they're capable of a bomb. And just recently, in the past month, we've been hearing the same old rhetoric about Iran. And so I'm going to cover this article along with other ones to just to kind of show that what I believe is that they are bypassing Iran. I've talked about this in previous videos about how I don't think they're going to go into Iran, although they're starting to, like I said, beat those drums. I don't think that's going to be the case here, because they just don't have enough evidence, and they're not. So obviously they can't get the support to do that. So they will move on to other areas and further the occupation of Pakistan and around surrounding areas such as Yemen. So let's see. It says Tehran, Washington. President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad said on Thursday Iran was close to enriching uranium nearly pure enough for atomic bombs, but the United States was dismissive, saying he spoke to rally government supporters on the Islamic Revolution's 31st anniversary. Ahmadinejad told a vast flag-waving crowd of government supporters in central Tehran's Azadi square that Iran could now enrich uranium to more than 80% purity, coming to close levels experts say is needed for a nuclear bomb, although he again denied any such intention. The Iranian nation is brave enough that if one day we wanted to build nuclear bombs, we would announce it publicly without being afraid of you, Ahmadinejad said, addressing Iran's Western enemies. And the only reason they're enemies, obviously, is what? Is because all we do is, well, not really us, but our intelligence agencies and that are constantly telling their people that we need to go in and bomb Iran, right? Because they're going to build a nuclear bomb, they're going to kill us all. And so you can see right here that this is nothing more than Iran just kind of standing its ground and showing that it does have the capability if needed, right? Like a little scorpion. If you keep at it, eventually you're going to get stung. And they're just kind of waving their little stinger around, saying that it is a possibility. So if you want to go to war with us, within time, and it does take time to actually create that type of enrichment, that pure grade enrichment of uranium to produce bombs. So it would definitely take them time, but what they're getting at is they're not going to come out and say, oh, we don't have the capability of doing it, so blah, 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 blah. And then so that would basically make them a weaker nation, right? Which is something that we can't criticize them for, because we do that ourselves. That's the biggest reason that we bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, is to show Russia that we were capable of doing it. So he told the crowd, quote, when we say that we don't build nuclear bombs, it means that we don't, because we don't believe in having it. The United States does not believe Iran is capable of enriching uranium to that degree, White House spokesman Robert Gibbs said in a response. Iran has made a series of statements that are based on politics, not on physics, he told reporters. And Vienna, a think tank tracking nuclear proliferation, said that, quote, while Iran may take longer than expected to make sufficient weapons-grade uranium, few believe it will ever fail in that effort. The report by David Albright and Christina Waldron of the Institute for Science and International Security said international sanctions have slowed Iran's progress but not stopped it. So they're justifying the sanctions. So you see what I'm getting at here, guys, is that they're using the sanctions as kind of giving themselves a pat on the back by saying, oh, because we've been, imposing these sanctions on them, that's why they haven't achieved that. And you have the president saying, well, we're just not because we don't want to, right? Because it'll just bring on more heat to us. And it says Iranian state television said tens of millions of people rallied to support the revolution across the country of 70 million, which is facing its worst domestic crisis in 3 decades after a disputed presidential election. Opposition supporters have coalesced around the reformist who lost to Ahmadinejad in an election last June and refused to yield government demands to halt protesters. And then it goes into saying how much like the George Soros-backed Orange Revolution in Ukraine that was unsuccessful recently when the opposing candidate won. That's good for all of us freedom lovers as far as Ukraine goes. But they have all these little color revolutions, usually run by intelligence agencies, opposing intelligence agencies, which create provocateurs and false flag attacks, and use usually people that are younger, that are fervent and being anti-government. And that's good and everything, but a lot of times, like I said, like this, Iran's green voice, they'll have actual provocateurs from intelligence agencies within that movement that co-opt it and fund it, and so that creates instability within the country of Iran. So yeah, they said, oh, shots were fired, security shots, so I'm not really gonna buy all that, but it may have happened, it may have been legit. But it says sanction calls. There were no reports of the kind of violence that erupted in late December when 8 people were killed in clashes between security forces and opposition supporters. And a lot of times, like I said, think about it, if you have intelligence agencies that want to make Iran look bad, all you have to do is infiltrate their little opposition movement, because they are somewhat a republic, right? And so they're allowed to have 2 different parties. If you fund the opposition and basically get in there and then start throwing Molotov cocktails or do whatever you got to do, well then it's gonna draw down the state on you. And I'm not justifying that, but that's how it works. It says the country faces growing Western calls for a new round of targeted United Nations sanctions against it after Ahmadinejad this week ordered the start of higher grade uranium production. It said Iran says it moved to produce 20% enriched uranium for a Tehran research reactor, making medical isotopes out of frustration at failure to reach agreement on a uranium exchange with world powers. Said they had recently purified the fuel to just 3.5%, the level required for a nuclear power plant. Western experts say the jump to 20% is a technical gap or a technical leap towards enriching uranium to the 90% needed for a nuclear bomb. Iran's newly launched 20% nuclear fuel production was going very well, the Islamic Republic's Atomic Energy Organization told Reuters. And it said they had the capacity to enrich uranium up to 100%, but never had the intention, and we do not have that intention to do so unless we need to. So they're kind of saying what I had already just said. It says the West accuses Iran of covertly trying to build nuclear bombs. Iran, the world's 5th largest crude oil exporter, says its nuclear facilities are a part of a peaceful energy program, and it would retaliate for any attack on them. So there you go, everybody. As the buildup comes to attack Iran, I think they're pretty much saying that it's not going to happen just yet. And so let's hope it doesn't. Thank you.